Are you a film fan who loves the ultimate home video experience? Look no further than The Disconnected. Your host, Ryan Verrill, is your go-to source for the latest and most accurate information on home video releases, exclusive interviews with industry insiders and filmmakers, and has established a thriving community where every film and physical media enthusiast feels welcome. From hidden gems to blockbuster hits, The Disconnected brings you insider knowledge and a welcoming space to share your love of cinema. Watch every Thursday night at 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 Pacific for the live announcements show and follow The Disconnected on social media to stay updated. Subscribe to The Disconnected on YouTube or on the podcast provider of your choice and dive into a world where every movie night is an adventure.
Hello, filthy movie lovers. My name is Gentry Austin.
And I'm Casey Scott.
And we're the hosts of the Sin Syndicate, film podcast for something weirdos, anti-criterion bros, and Joseph Sarno aficionados. Join us semi-weekly as we peer into the adults-only theaters and sticky-floored cinemas of the golden age of sexploitation, when the morals were loose, the laws were murky, and the intercourse was all simulated. Find us now on the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
If you're looking for more horror outside of the mainstream, look no further than Unsung Horrors, a podcast about underseen horror movies. I'm Lance.
And I'm Erica. Every other week, we'll cover a horror movie with fewer than 1,000 views on Letterboxd. We'll even give you double feature recommendations to pair with the movies we discuss.
From gothic to shot on video, from slashers to comedies, from giallo to J-horror, we'll cover all the subgenres. So join us as we unearth these hidden gems of horror.
Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, all at Unsung Horrors, available wherever you listen to podcasts. And part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Welcome to the Life and Times of Captain Barney Miller podcast. I'm your host, Mike White. Joining me always is Lieutenant Colonel Chris Dashew.
I prefer to go by the name I was given, Colonel Schrader.
Lieutenant.
You know, it's like Lieutenant. It's a good one.
On this episode, we were talking about 3 episodes, like we do. We're talking about Hot Dogs, which aired originally December 11th, 1975. Protection, which was December 18th, 1975. Then you get a little bit of a Christmas break in there, and you get Happy New Year, which aired January 8th, 1976. Chris, what did you think of Hot Dogs?
This is an interesting episode because there is a very touching and heartfelt moment towards the end, but there's also the issue of the 2 characters played by Janelle Allen and Nellie Bellflower, who, despite their hemming and hawing, are still treated like the women the characters in the show believe that they are. And it's a kind of a problem. But at the same time, they did break the rules. So there is that. It's not a terrible episode. I don't know. It's okay. It's kind of just stock and trade of the way that this show has handled its female characters, from just billing them in the credits to, you know, someone like Wentworth coming back several times. So it kind of is in this middle ground of like how they've treated female characters before and maybe the direction they might be moving, hopefully. What about you? What do you think, Mike?
Well, I was very bummed, actually, because the person that these 2 cops, Officer Turner and Officer Carney, the hot dogs of the title, I kept waiting for regular hot dogs to show up at some point.
I could really go for a hot dog.
There are 2 female cops who are staking out. They're undercover. They're pretending that they're students, and they're busting this guy at a college. And what made me sad was that David L. Lander, who plays David Gordon in this, was the guy that they busted, and he just passed away in real life maybe, 2 weeks ago from when we're recording this. So Squiggy, yeah.
Can we say that The Simpsons predicted his death? He didn't get smashed by a house, though. Do you remember that episode of The Simpsons? You know what I'm talking about?
No, I can't say I remember that.
There was an episode of The Simpsons where, like, it was around the time that Big Brother existed, or still existed, but it was, like, first introduced. And so they had the Simpsons characters go and live in a Big Brother-style house with all of the family members as kind of the participants. And halfway through, they were like, this isn't exciting enough. We need to add like a B-level or C-level celebrity. So they had David L. Lander as Squiggy in the episode, and then he dies at the end. And so, like, that's all I ever think of when I think of him, because unfortunately for me, I don't have a frame of reference for the TV show, Laverne and Shirley.
Hello, Squiggy! Why is the guy from Laverne and Shirley living in our house?
'Cause nobody's watching you clowns. If you was to ask me, you're all too calm and happy. The essence of drama is conflict. That's why they gave me this taser.
When you said Big Brother existed, I was like, what, like Orwell? Like 1984?
Yes, that also exists, but in real life.
It took me a little while to remember.
But yes, it was a episode in 2002 called Helter Shelter, where he reprised his role as Squiggy from Laverne and Shirley.
I was really with The Simpsons up until about the 5th or 6th season, and then after that, I kind of tapered off.
Before someone corrects me, because I am wrong, it was a TV show where they were trying to live the same way a family did in the 1800s.
Oh, okay.
That's the joke.
That's the joke.
I think their house is getting, like, fumigated or something. But it is unfortunate because, yeah, he did just recently pass away, and I think he's kind of underutilized in this episode. He's kind of just one of the dudes behind the cell again.
Though he gets all the laugh lines. Like, they're constantly cutting to him for reactions.
Yeah, and he's good. He's great. So is Hal Linden, as always. So is Abe Vigoda talking about fucking and losing weight through fucking.
Which was amazing.
Yeah, he actually has sex with his wife, I think. At least they insinuate that he does. So
He lost 4 pounds.
And you know what else? I didn't hate Luger in this episode.
No, this is more like the Luger that I know. This is not the drunk, racist Luger. Like, even when he's talking with...
Is he drunk, though?
Well, he seemed drunk in the earlier episodes.
No, I know, but, like, is he meant to be drunk, or is that just a choice that James Gregory made? I'm asking you what you think.
I think that's a choice.
Okay. It's a really specific choice.
I was surprised that he doesn't get a Polish joke in on Wojciechowicz when he's talking to him.
Well, he does later. Do you know what I didn't realize about James Gregory? And this is going to blow your mind that I didn't realize this. That he played one of the apes in Planet of the Apes.
Oh, yeah. General Urso?
Ursus, yeah.
Ursus,
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Because, like, every time I look at him, I was like, he looks really familiar. But, like, for some reason, I guess I didn't scroll far enough down on his IMDb page because, oh, by the way, he has, like, 185 credits. But now I will not be able to see him without thinking of his character from Planet of the Apes. But he's great in this episode, thank God, because he's been so awful and just kind of abrasive the last 4 or 5 times we've seen him.
They have him around to basically be awful in this.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's there to... he's disciplining Barney, but also disciplining these 2 hot dog cops. What really made me laugh was when Chano comes in, because Chano was already on this case. And so basically they busted David Gordon underneath Chano, and he was going for Gordon's superiors. He wanted to go and, like, break up the entire drug ring. And I appreciated that he was getting names from Gordon and then going out and got more names. And then at the end, he's got, 6 pages worth of names. And they just go, yeah, throw it over to Vice.
Let them do their job. It's a good episode. You know, we haven't really mentioned the character of Mr. Victor, played by Howard Honig. That's for a reason, because it's kind of its own self-contained plot with Wojciechowicz. I really liked that plot, especially when it gets to the way it's resolved, because it's a lot more introspective than this show has ever gotten. And I really like it. So the setup is Howard Honig plays a character who believes that his wife is Jean Harlow, but he only believes it because I assume that, like, there's, like, family trouble at home, and that's kind of what's going on, and he's, like, retreating into his own little special world where everything's still okay. And, like, him and Barney have a really heartfelt conversation at the end of the episode. And I really liked it because, again, this show doesn't really go in that direction very often. The last time that it did was when Gregory Sierra and Hal Linden had that kind of heartfelt moment at the end of the first season when Sierra kills, or Chano kills, one of the kind of the bad guys, a robber or something. And it's like, when there are these quieter moments, it's really nice.
Yeah, I was very curious when they were looking at this photo, because he brings in a photo of his missing wife, and they're just like, this woman looks familiar. And finally they figure out that it's Jean Harlow. And I love that his kids are, Mickey Rooney and Freddie Bartholomew. I was just like, oh, that's kind of neat. He has like his whole fantasy world. I can't remember if it's Luger or somebody says just like take him and dump him off at Bellevue. But instead,
that's what Luger says.
Yeah, but instead Barney's got the heart, as always.
Because Barney is a stand-up character, almost to a fault.
But yeah, that was a very nice story. I mean, that was also great use of Wojciechowicz as well.
Yeah, I've kind of noticed recently it feels like they don't know what to do with Wojciechowicz, and he just exists for people to make fun of him or have his name be the punchline. And hold your horses, folks. We're about to see 2 episodes that traffic, and his name is Wojciechowicz. Isn't that weird? Like, oh dear, here we go.
It's spelled just like it sounds.
Yeah, he says that in 2 separate episodes. Back to back, too. Like, you've got to mind something else, because Max Gale is a pretty funny actor with some good comedic timing. He's no Jack Sue, but who is?
God, yeah, Jack Sue can just kill with a look.
And in these later 2 episodes, he's given a lot more to do than we've kind of seen up until this point.
So the timeline in Barney Miller is just all over the place. We talked last month about how we were in the bicentennial, even though it was 1975 when the episode came out, and it was fall of 75, so we're nowhere near July when this is happening. And we've gone from an earlier episode in this season called Heat Wave. Now we are in one where it's called Protection, but we are freezing our asses off inside of the precinct.
Yeah, their furnace isn't working. Go figure.
Everything goes wrong in that 12th precinct. That was the other thing, going back to the previous episode for a second. When Barney is like, who are you guys, to the 2 lady cops, it was almost like a Philip K. Dick kind of situation. I was thinking of Decker when he goes into the police station in the book of Can Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, and it's like a whole other police station, and it's existing in the same time as his police station. So I was just like, right. Oh, there are more cops that work in the 12th precinct on other floors, and I guess we're supposed to realize that that's what's happening, that like the plainclothesmen are upstairs and then the uniforms are downstairs, because I guess these 2 female cops went out plain clothes to bust the drug dealer, but they really should have been in uniform and, like writing tickets and doing all that kind of stuff.
Doing female work.
Yeah, exactly. Typing, fixing coffee. People at home, don't be mad at me, because that's what they throw out as far as like, oh, these are the female jobs.
Yeah, this is not us speaking, obviously. There's no female representation in this next episode, Protection. It is an all-male outing, and Ray Sharkey is in it, though, who you were just talking about on the projection booth on Dubidio.
Yeah, that was nice to see, and he's got a great role in this. I was very happy to see him. He's the guy that,
come on, lock me up! Come on, lock me up! Come on, I've done something wrong! Come on, lock me up! I mean, he's annoying as all fucking get out, but it's still pretty funny.
It is funny, because he robs a store that's under mob protection. They don't really ever say the mob in this episode either.
Those people.
Those people.
Anthony Borelli, who just happens to have a very insanely Italian last name. His name could have been Boiardi for all I care. I mean, again, we know who you're going for. And we know the only real organized crime in the 70s in New York that these guys are dealing with are going to be either gangs or the mob. And with a name like Borelli, it's not a gang. It's the mob.
This also plays into a very famous time when, because we've had this storyline twice now about the precinct possibly closing down. This really plays right into the whole Ford to New York City drop dead, the famous headline from, I think it was the Daily News, where it's just, the city's going to go bankrupt, and they actually play part of straightforward speech in this saying like, yeah, I'm not going to give any extra money to these cities. And it's just like, whoa. But then he does say that he will give money to the police force and things just to keep, the structure going. So at least these guys get to keep their jobs.
The state has done all it can. The city has done and is committed to do in the months ahead more of what we've done. And if the federal government does not help us, I think it will find the problem afterwards, which it would have to help us with, much more serious.
Hashtag defund the police.
Now, if they were giving more money to Barney's wife and the social workers of the city, then things might be different.
Yeah, but why are they working when the cops could just be shooting the people that they're supposed to be protecting?
That's true.
Yeah, it's true. This is the first time, speaking of the Anthony Barrie character, this is the first of 7 appearances for Ralph Manza. And the next 2 appearances, he's actually going to be playing characters that return with the same character.
They must have liked him. I've definitely seen him around, though not made up to look as old as he was.
Yeah, he looks a little ridiculous.
Yeah, a little bit. And I did like his bodyguard just kind of hanging around.
I don't know about you, but I didn't seem to understand the Anthony Barrie character because they say Wojciechowicz is back at his old bullshit again. What is that? That he's just looking into old case files?
What I could figure was that Wojo somehow thought that Barrie was an active member of the mob, but he was bringing in some really old-timer member of the mob, and that he had gotten his name out of the old case files. But I don't know. Yeah, to your point, the jokes don't add up there for me.
It doesn't work very well, and it doesn't work very well because they don't explain it. And if they had explained it even a little bit better than they did, because they kind of just throwaway line explain it. They're like, oh yeah, Wojo's back to his old bullshit again. And it's but why? Why is just cause he found a name? It makes sense. I mean, you never hear anything past the names that he mentions. Barney says, oh, we should look into those names, but whatever. It's a weird addition to this story because it doesn't go anywhere. And it's not particularly funny.
They do make a couple references to The Godfather. That was kind of nice. That was right around the time, I think Godfather 2 was the year before this. Godfather 1 was 2 years before that, so.
Oh, the little one. The little one. Oh, you mean Corleone? Okay. Ha ha ha. Of the 3 episodes, this is the one that I liked the least. Because it just, nothing happens.
The only thing that I liked in it was that we got to see, who was it, Mr. Cotterman, the store owner that I think we saw back in the apartment episode, the stakeout.
Yeah, because he plays the same character several times. 7 episodes, actually.
Okay, so it must be a local neighborhood store that they're talking about.
Yeah, there's 4 more episodes with him. So he was on the show 6 times, not 7. So there you go. I mean, again, it's nice to have reoccurring characters, even if they're not, reoccurring as much as they maybe should be.
So let's move on to the final one this episode, Happy New Year, in which we are taking place right before the new year, even though the episode dropped a little bit afterwards.
When you say right before, you mean literally this episode takes place on New Year's Eve.
Exactly. We've got Nick talking about how he's making a New Year's resolution where he's not going to make any more coffee. So again, playing into that coffee joke you're talking about 2 or 3 episodes ago. Yeah,
now they're finally fully embracing the coffee thing, which is great because it's a funny gag, and you can see Jack Sue trying not to corpse when he's talking because he's clearly coming up with jokes on the fly. You can see him trying not to corpse. You can see Ron Glass trying not to corpse. By the way, I don't know if I'm explaining something to you, I'll explain it for the sake of the audience. Corpsing is when you're in front of a camera and you're trying not to react sincerely. You're trying to do your job. And you can tell Ron Glass is trying not to laugh in that initial interaction between him and Jack Sue.
I had never heard the term corpse until you brought it up.
You've never heard of corpsing before?
Well, never until you brought it up maybe just a few months ago. And then since then, I've heard it a bunch. It seems to be more of a British thing.
It's also a wrestling thing because it happens a lot in it essentially happens a lot whenever there's a camera pointed at you and it's live. I didn't realize it was a British thing. I've just heard it a lot when it comes to like wrestling.
That's where I've heard it the most, between you and British people. So I don't know if it's a British thing, but yeah, I was just listening to the commentary for Withnail and I, and at one point, Richard E. Grant loses it, and they were just like, oh, here's Richard corpsing. It's like, okay.
Yeah. Do you know what the best part of this episode is, Mike?
What's that? The suicide?
It's the fact that Barbara fucking Barrie is actually in this fucking episode.
I knew you'd be thrilled.
I was thrilled because she's amazing. She's probably the best part of this show. I mean, her and Hal Linden are so good together. I don't understand why someone didn't see that and go, she needs to actually be a series regular.
Yeah, she was fantastic in this episode, and she's right there helping out with this pregnant shoplifter that comes in who's trying to shoplift stuff for her baby, and Barbara Barrie's there trying to help deliver the baby. And I loved when they're trying to explain to her how to breathe, and Chano's the only one that can translate, so it's like Hal Linden, Barbara Barrie, and Gregory Sierra all doing the breathing stuff. That was making me laugh very much.
This is the last time we'll see Barbara Barrie for 2 years.
Oh my God, that doesn't seem possible.
I know. I mean, we talked about it on the last episode. I don't want to get, again, down the rabbit hole too far, but that initial interaction between her and Hal Linden when she shows up and she's like, do we have enough time to fuck in your office? And that is what this show needs. It needs that sensibility of like, these are real people, because that shows a side of Hal Linden's Barney Miller we don't get to see. We don't get to see what he's like with people other than the people he works with. And that's only, as far as I'm concerned, half a character. Getting to see how he interacts with his wife, it's pretty important for the growth of this character who we're going to spend another 7 seasons with. And it also helps that Barbara Barrie is really good. I mean, everyone in this episode is great. Again, Jack Sua and Ron Glass are pretty awesome together, but even Wojciechowicz is great. I mean, I would say that this is one of the better episodes of the show that we've seen. It hangs together so well, and it has some memorable side characters, but at the same time, the main story is rather compelling with the pregnant shoplifter.
Though I do have to say, I pointed out the suicide person. That goes nowhere, and it was tough for me to even tell that the guy committed suicide at the end of the episode.
I assumed that when Fish said you win one, you lose one, that's what he meant. That's really, I mean, again, that plays into the Fish character who is so cynical and so just kind of detached that, like, that's a perfect response for that character. But, like, yeah, that plotline goes nowhere. What's the point?
Well, and he's, like, trying to get a hold of Henry Kissinger and trying to get a hold of, like, this Jewish consulate and stuff. It was like, okay, yeah, sure.
They could have dropped that completely because, honestly, it is a missed opportunity to not have Fish in the precinct during the whole delivering of the baby. It feels like a waste of his time to not have him there, because this is one of the few episodes we've seen where the entire precinct is working together towards one thing. Normally it is split up, and this time it's split up, I think, to the detriment of this episode, especially to the detriment of Abe Vigoda's character, who, I mean, again, I've professed it before, I'll profess it again, is probably one of my favorite, if not my favorite thing about this show. He should have been there with the other characters.
I mean, I liked the other criminals that are in this. The pickpocket, I really liked the pickpocket. I was hoping that the drunk was going to have his pockets picked. I was really hoping for that. And I was hoping that the drunk would have been the guy interacting with Fish a little bit more. But that didn't happen.
And Joseph Bova and John Doolan do a good enough job. I mean, they're fun. Joseph Bova's character is a caricature of a drunkard. And the pickpocket is a caricature of a pickpocket. But they work. They work in this episode. I don't think they would have worked without a compelling A plot, because they are a very uncompelling C plot. I guess technically the C plot.
And I do like how Wojo steps up at the end and it's just like, hey, I should be the one to deliver this baby, that, he's had the most training. I was like, all right, cool. And I like him and Hal Linden when they're rushing into the room and they have their hands up, they just sanitize their hands to deliver the baby. That was pretty good.
It really shows just everyone firing on all cylinders. Again, the biggest issue that I have with this episode is just if you're going to have everyone together at the precinct, make sure it's actually everyone. Because Abe Vigoda is such a big part of this show. He gets his own spin-off. And yet he's not here for this episode? Really? That's a shame. It's a real shame. But other than that, it's a perfectly fine episode. Again, really fun. Just one of the side plots just doesn't do anything. And this is the last time we see Barbara Barrie for 2 years. So,
which means in our timeline, that'll be quite a little while.
Yeah, so this is 76, and the next episode that she is in 78. So, extrapolating that out, that's like probably 2 or 3 years from now, 4 years from now. Put a pin in it. When we return to it, we'll life will be much different than it is now. It'll be a brave new world when we're talking about the 5th season of the show. So, because that's 3 seasons from now. That's how insane this is. Like, oh man, what a shame. There's going to be new people. Landsberg is probably going to be more in the show. There will be new characters to replace Chano. Because doesn't it end up being just Wojciechowicz and Barney, and that's it, right? And Jack Sue until he passes away?
I think Ron Glass as well.
Yeah, so like it's going to be all new characters, everything else. It'll be a vastly different show than the one we're talking about now when Barbara Barrie comes back. And that'll be wild.
So until then, Barbara Barrie, you are dead to us.
No, I wouldn't go there. It is weird, though. One of the next times, or I guess one of the times that she shows up, she actually shows up with John Dolan again. Him playing a different character, but he's also in that episode. So that's kind of weird. Kind of a weird synchronicity, but it's a good episode, nonetheless.
So, Chris, what is happening in your world these days?
Well, right now, just, getting over the post-holidays rush and podcasting. So if you want to see the things that I work on, Christmas Claus on Twitter, that's it. That's where you can find me. What about you, Mike? What's been keeping you busy over at the Projection Booth podcast?
We are doing musical month at the Projection Booth, so we are talking about things like Evita, Hair, duets, and the Blues Brothers. So, and then also a bonus episode that we'll have with you and me, Chris, talking about the Bill and Ted films.
Yes, that's right.
Very excited for that.
All 3 Bill and Ted films, because again, somehow in 2020, we got a 3rd Bill and Ted movie.
The saga continues.
Yeah, boy, something like that.
I want to thank John Walker for providing our theme music. I want to thank everybody for listening. Thanks especially to those few folks that have gone over to iTunes and rated and reviewed the show. Much appreciated. One of these days, maybe we'll get up there with, I don't know, like the after show for The Bachelorette or something.
One could dream, right?
The audio commentary. It's a dying art form, but here at One Track Mind, I, your wonky yet affable host Ryan Luis Rodriguez, analyze film through the prism of these embryonic forms of podcasting, one audio commentary at a time. Masterpieces, crapster pieces, live action, animation, cult classics, films literally no one has ever heard of. No track is too small, and no track is too big. Join me and my guests from the entertainment world as we keep these features alive every other Tuesday. Hey, who else is going to discuss Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey one week and Citizen Kane the next? Us, that's who. Sure, you have to put up with my voice, but there's a certain give and take in this industry. That's One Track Mind, part of the Someone's Favorite Productions family and available wherever you get your podcasts.